So happy March, everyone. March feels a lot slower this year. We're already in March. Like, that's ridiculous. This year is just flying by like it's nobody's business. But with that being said, there's interesting things happening in March. We got Nations League here in Canada. We got AFCON qualifiers happening there. Speaking of AFCON or CAF, congratulations to Senegal, Tunisia, Nigeria, and Gambia for qualifying for the FIFA U20 World Cup. Uh, Fellow African Mo was very excited about that. The Scorpions have done something. Good for them. Good for them. Man, but with March happening, I mean, February was an interesting month in Canada for football. Federation's on fire. Whether you think it's self-inflicted or it's a witch hunt, it's on fire. And I'm finished, just wrapped up recording bits for players who can make the women's national team with their World Cup coming up. It made me think a little bit about the men's side in terms of what position group do we think could hold the most transition this year? I think a lot of this does depend on what happens in Nations League, this window coming up, March 20th to 28th, can do a lot. I think if Canada is able to make the final for that, which I think many people expect them to, but you have to play the games. So if they're able to make that final, that might be the Nations League might be the last time we see a quote unquote World Cup group together. Like the 2022 World Cup group, that might be the last time we see them together. Because if they make the finals, the semifinals at least, or dare I dream, make the finals for that, I could see them, looking at June and trying to make a bit of a look at new players, right? Trying to see a few players maybe in MLS, depending on who's playing. Finding some duels who are ready to make the switch and who haven't already. I mean, some interesting dual conversations happening. Luca Cogliosho getting potentially called into an Italian youth squad, which doesn't necessarily eliminate his chances to play for Canada. But, I mean, the man said he's willing to play for whoever gives him run. So if Italy wants to give him run at the youth level, okay, he'll go there. Which means now you got Italy, you got Canada, you have the US. I'm waiting for Nigeria to jump into this and make it a fun quad. Let's all fight for this. Let's do it. I do wonder, though, when we're back to the men, what position group could we see the most transition this year? I think the easy answer is midfield. Though you see players like Kone performing well in the championship. You have Eustáquio performing well in the Portuguese league. After him, what do you have? Right? Mark Anthony Kaye hasn't looked good so far, but probably just due to familiarity gets called up in March. We have Sam Piet playing as a center back to a degree with CF Montreal. So is that the option there? But after that, Liam Fraser hasn't had too much run. Could we see a Latori get into the squad potentially? Or perhaps, a Jaden Nelson, a player of that nature who can maybe crack the squad and really start to, get his spot here because, you just have that fluidity and that flexibility. Is it the fullbacks? I'm not sure if it's the fullbacks per se because I don't know how many Herdman will actually bring. Right, Alistair Johnson's looked great at Celtic so far. Sam Adekubi got a move after everything that's happening in Turkey and Syria. So he's probably going to return to get some minutes there. And then Richie Larea still starting at TFC. You have your three. Does he look for a fourth? Who becomes your fourth? Does a Mo Farsi, able to crack into the lineup and show a little bit of potential come through? Are there other fullbacks that maybe we've just forgotten about coming through? I think another interesting spot to look at, center backs, they will age out, there's no doubt. Steven Vittoria only has so many years, I think, left, maybe a couple more before it was really showing. I mean, at the World Cup you saw, good on defending some set pieces, but in an open game doesn't necessarily suit his play style. There are other center backs that maybe can crack through. I think striker is interesting to me, just from the standpoint of Ugbo not getting any run. With Ugbo not getting run, that leaves that striker 3/4 position open. Lucas Cavallini more than likely takes one of those spots. And then you have questions. Can a Rich Yenning get in form? Do they maybe make a run at Daniel Jebison, as everyone keeps telling me? I'll believe it when he comes in. Does a player like Ayo Akinola maybe regain some form and come through? Does Theo Bair get more minutes and start to show some consistency at his club? A lot of interesting questions. Even if you look at the wingers, outside of Tejan, I know Alphonso Davies sometimes plays as a winger or a wing back, depending on what Herdman wants to employ. But Tejan and then Davies, what's the depth after that? Liam hasn't been getting as much run. A player that some of us were excited about, Theo Corbeanu, just hasn't been able to get consistent minutes. But since a window is coming, Charles-Andreas Brim will start to score goals. This is the rule. Whenever a window comes, Charles-Andreas Brim starts racking up braces. And maybe that's just how is the ebbs and flows of his game. But it is interesting. Maybe I'll go into this in a bit more detail. But I do wonder, guys, you put this in the comments below. What position group do you feel will see the most transition this year for the men's national team? Yeah, quick stop by. I'm going to stop rambling now. But yeah, just leave your comments down below.